All righty. Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call this meeting of the Sacramento County Local Agency Formation Commission to order. Would you all please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Thank you, everyone. I would like to read an announcement regarding our cable television. This meeting is live streamed at metro14live.saccounty.gov, and today's meetings will be replayed on Friday, December 9th at 2 p.m. and Saturday, December 10th at noon on Channel 14. This meeting can also be viewed at youtube.com/MetroCable14. Madam Clerk, I believe you have some further announcements?
Yes, thank you. Pursuant to AB 361, the Sacramento Local Agency Formation Commission meeting is live streamed via Zoom and temporarily closed to in-person public participation. There is no physical location for this meeting. The meeting is via virtual teleconference only. Thank you for your patience and support. To join this Zoom meeting live, you may go to the LAFCO website homepage at www.saclafco.org and click on the link to join by computer. And you may also join by phone at area code 669-254-5252. Again, that's 669-254-5252. You may also watch a replay of the meeting on the LAFCO website or at the locations of Metro Cable. And to make a verbal comment at today's meeting, use the raised hand icon in the Zoom meeting, and you will be allowed to speak during the public comment section at the beginning of the meeting for off-agenda matters, or when the chair opens public comment for a specific agenda item. You will be able to make comment at that time. Members of the public are encouraged to give oral or written comments. Written comments are always accepted. Send your email comment to commissionclerk@saclafco.org, and your comment will be routed to the commission and filed in the record. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Would you please call the roll?
Yes. Chair Jones?
Present.
I do not see Commissioner Budge. Commissioner Budge? Commissioner Frost?
Here.
Liebig?
Here.
Commissioner Murphy?
Here.
And Commissioner Lowley?
Here.
Wonderful, thank you. We have a quorum.
Okay, thank you, Madam Clerk. We have the public forum, public comment. Public is encouraged to address commission concerning any matter not on the agenda, limited to 3 minutes, and we're prohibited from discussing or taking any action on any item not appearing on the posted agenda. Madam Clerk, do we have any members of the public?
We do, but I don't see any raised hands.
Oh,
nobody.
All right, we'll give them a second to make sure. All righty, 3, 2, 1. And now, as chair, I'm going to move item 5.6 V6 to the top of our agenda because of time constraints, as well as following LAFCO law in terms of our appointment of the regular and alternate public members at LAFCO. Jose, do you want to take this, or do you want me to wax loquaciously?
I'll just I'll just provide a very quick report. This is the continuation of the item from the November agenda relating to the reappointment of Commissioners Little and Murphy to the regular and alternate public member positions. As described in the November meeting, both commissioners had requested reappointment. under LAFCO law, you have the ability to make that appointment and you have that discretion. It does require at least 4 votes from the commission, as well as 1 vote from each of the 3 categories: counties, cities, and special districts. Because we did not have a city representative at the last meeting, you continue this item to this meeting. We were not required to do so, but we still notified the public again via public notice of the appointment. And I believe you are now ready to hold that vote.
Mm-hmm. All right, thank you. Thank you, Jose. And I'll entertain a motion for said staff recommendation.
So moved, Frost.
Second.
Okay, it's been it's been moved and seconded. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Just
Yeah.
check for public comment, please.
Oh, thank you.
Item, please.
Oh.
Is there any public comment on item number V6?
No, there is not.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And we have a motion and a second. Please call the roll.
Okay, and just a note that Commissioner Budge did arrive at the beginning of this item. So, therefore, Commissioner Budge,
Yes.
Frost? Frost? Can you wait?
Sorry,
Thank you. Liebig,
Aye.
Murphy?
If it's not improper to vote for myself, aye.
Actually, he's not eligible to vote for
Oh,
himself.
that's right.
You have to recuse.
I rescind my vote.
It's okay, Tim. We love you anyway.
I apologize. Commissioner Lowley
Aye.
and Chair Jones.
Aye.
Thank you. All in favor? Motion passed.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Madam Clerk, and thank you, Commissioner Frost. I know you've been double booked tonight, and congratulations to Commissioner Murphy and Commissioner Little. Glad to still have you guys all aboard. Thank you very much, and thank you, Commissioner Frost, for carving out the time so that we meet all the LAFCO requirements.
you're welcome. I'm sorry, I am just ducking in and out. Was that all you needed me for, Chair?
Well, a winning lottery ticket would be great too, but in the event
Okay.
you don't have any, please rejoin your meeting.
Other meeting that
Other
that'll probably
meetings.
go till midnight. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Good night, everyone.
Night,
Good
Sue.
night.
Good
Happy
night.
holidays.
Yes. All right. We jumped around a little bit, but we're getting business done. Thank you to all. We are at our consent calendar. Chair will entertain a motion.
I move the consent calendar.
Second.
All right. Counselor, do we need public comments on consent? Okay, I can tell by
Yes.
your face. All right, public comment. Do we have any on our, regarding our consent items, Madam Clerk?
No, we do not.
All right, thank you very much. Would you please, I'll enter, do we already have, we didn't have a,
We do.
okay, please proceed and call roll.
Okay. Commissioners Budge,
Yes.
Liebig,
Aye.
Murphy,
Aye.
Lowley,
Aye.
and Jones.
Aye.
Wonderful. Thank you. All in favor. Motion passed.
Okay. And I would like to make a quick comment. I appreciate our director, Enrique's continued information and educational level for helping us to understand some of these budget pages. That is, it's a bit dry, but it's informative, and thank you. I appreciate that. All righty, we're at number V5, public hearing items, number 7. Madam Clerk, would you please call the item?
Yes. Item number 7 is continued public hearing to consider and approve the draft municipal service review report for Del Paso Manor Water District.
Madam Chair, I'd like to pass this on to our consultant, Ms. Crystal Heaney, who will be providing the report to your commission.
Thank you. Welcome, Ms. Heaney.
Hello, thank you all for having me this evening. I really appreciate it. So I will be talking to you this evening about the Del Paso Manor Water District and the municipal service review that we conducted for that district. So I do have a slideshow. Let me see if it'll let me share. Looks like it will. We'll start the show. There we go. All right. Can everyone see that okay?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Wonderful. So just to give you a little overview of what we'll be talking about, for background and for the public, I wanted to go over the MSR process, what the purpose is, provide a little bit more background on Del Paso Manor, the area itself, and the water district. And then we'll be diving into the actual water services that they provide, their financial standing, and then just a brief overview of the determinations. So in the CKH Act, there's a really long, drawn-out explanation as to what exactly MSRs are for, but you boil it down, and really what it means is that these MSRs help inform boundary decisions. So later on down the road, if the district wanted to look at expanding their sphere or potentially reducing their sphere, or maybe annexing here or there, or any other sort of boundary decision, you can rely on this MSR to give you some of the background information and help you make your determinations on whether or not that boundary change will actually work out for the district. So that's their primary purpose. But we like to make them documents that can be used for a lot of different things. So what else they can do is help inform the public. So if anybody has questions about Del Paso Manor, they can go to this document and they'll have a really good overview of what that district does and where they were at this point in time. It can also provide an overview for any new board members that join the district that need help getting up to speed on what's happening and what they do. It can also provide support for funding applications. The one thing we like to do is highlight different projects that districts or various agencies have planned so that they can use that document for support, like for a grant application or loan application. Be like, see, this document here says that this project is a really good idea, so this is why we should get funded. And then it can also help bring awareness to district successes, things that are going really well, and also some potential needs. You know, maybe if they're struggling in certain areas, we can help highlight those, bring attention to it, and hopefully get them the aid that they need to correct whatever is going on. That's kind of what MSRs are for, what we like to use them for. So the overall process, it usually takes a few months to get through everything. We start off with really robust data collection. We try and gather as much background information through different reports, either directly from the district or maybe county agencies that had dealings with the district, state agencies that might review them, do different inspections, any stakeholder groups that they were involved with. We just try and gather as much information as we can so we can get a really good picture of the district. We also hold different stakeholder discussions. In this instance, we were talking with Sacramento Water District, their neighboring water provider there, to see what was going on between the two districts, if there's any mutual aid agreements or any other talk. So we wanted to make sure that we had their perspective on things. And then, of course, we want to get the agency input. So we spend time talking to agency staff to see how they feel their district is doing. We like to incorporate that into the report. Once we get all that data pulled together, we compile it into something that is easier to read, and we make an administrative draft that we provide to the agency and also to LAFCO in order to make sure we have all of our facts right and that there's nothing that we misspoke on. So before we get it out to the public, we have everything in order, or as best we can. After that administrative draft is reviewed, we go to the public review period, which we started was about 30 days ago at the last commission meeting. You open the public comment period, you get the document out into the public, and hopefully get some input on it. And we did receive a little bit of input on the public draft. After the public draft, we go to final report and incorporate any comments that were received. And if all looks good, we go to adoption. So that's the overall MSR process. And that's why it can't be done super fast in some cases. It takes a little bit of time to get it around and have everyone review it. All right, so we'll dive into Del Paso Manor Water District, provide a little background information. It was originally formed in 1956 to provide water services for the newly established subdivision. This was part of the post-World War II housing boom that happened in the state and throughout the country. So a lot more houses going in, you know, we have the suburbs, they're coming up, and we have to get services out to all those new houses. So it encompasses almost 700 acres in the greater Arden Arcade area in Sacramento. The land use in the district is actually mostly low density residential. It's a lot of single family homes. There is a small portion that is commercial, so you have those shopping centers in there, a couple schools, and a little bit of multifamily housing. But it's about 76% is that low density residential. The current population, 4,854. That is up a little bit from the 2010 population, which was 4,778. And that seems to be fairly consistent with what the county has predicted for its unincorporated areas, just a slight growth rate there. What is interesting for this area is the median household income. It is actually a little bit higher than the state MHI, and it's definitely higher than the overall Arden Arcade median household income. So the district itself isn't really considered a disadvantaged community, but the greater Arden Arcade area can be considered disadvantaged. That's something that we take into consideration for our determinations in the MSR. So here is the boundary map for the district. We'll zoom in a little bit here so you can get a little bit better look. It's generally bounded by Marconi Avenue, Eastern Avenue. We have Mariel Drive down there, and Mariel, I probably said that wrong, my apologies, and Watt, which is where you see a lot of the commercial district. And it has pretty much remained the same since it was established. And right now, the sphere of influence is coterminous. We did decide with this document to keep it just as a municipal service review and defer the sphere of influence determinations until a later date in time. So again, this MSR can help inform that later SOI determination. And here we have the land use. As I said, you know, about 76% is that low density residential, which is the light yellow. The little bit darker yellow is the medium density. And then the purplish areas are the commercial areas where you have your shopping centers. So I wanted to pause there. I know that's a lot of information there, and just see if there were any initial questions on the background information.
Well, hearing none and seeing none, Madam Clerk, do we have anyone in the audience of members of the public that have any questions at this point?
Maybe we've got a hand raised.
We have a hand raised?
That is correct, Madam Chair. Commissioner Laloy has his hand raised.
Thank you. I cannot see that with the, please proceed, Commissioner Lowley.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Just a few questions. I noticed that there's a school facility within that map. Which school is that?
There's two actually. The larger one is the high school. And I actually don't have the name of it written down.
It's
There's a
El
high
Camino
school.
High School.
Thank you. El Camino High School. And then there's also an elementary school that's in the housing development as well.
Is that the Babcock Elementary? Or
Tim, isn't it Mariemont?
It might be Mariemont.
okay.
It's the next neighborhood over from mine, so I know El
Yeah.
Camino.
Thank you.
Oh, we have no other hands raised. Please proceed, Ms. Haney.
Moving forward. So we'll talk a little bit about the water services. That is the only service that they own and operate 8 different wells throughout the district, but they only use 6 of them. There are 2 that are either offline or with very limited use due to contamination issues, which I'll talk a bit about in a little bit. They have a firm capacity of about 3,700 gallons per minute. And what that means is that's their total water production without their highest producing well. So their total capacity is actually 5,223 gallons per minute. But when you take that major well offline, it drops it down to the 3,700. There's very limited treatment for the water that comes up from the ground that they pump out. A little bit of chlorine is added as a disinfectant, and that happens right there at the wellheads, but then it gets pumped into the distribution system. The distribution system, I'm sorry on that one, is about 21 miles of pipeline. And right now, there is some pipeline that is below the waterworks standards. It's too small. So there's like some 2-inch pipeline that's in there. And they have some steel pipeline, which will hopefully get replaced sometime in the near future. But we'll talk a little bit about the system needs later on. So their current average demand right now is just about 700 gallons per minute, with a max of almost 1,400 gallons per minute. So they do have enough capacity, enough pumping capacity to meet their average and max demand. And they also have enough to meet their peak hour demand, which is a little higher. The issue that they're running into is with their fire flow. So when we're looking at a water system, they need to meet fire flow requirements, and that fire flow is up above 4,000 gallons per minute, and so that is where they're a little short. Hopefully, with the upgrade of their emergency interties with Sac Suburban, that will provide them with enough capacity to meet those fire flows in the event of an emergency, but they have to be installed and tested first before we can really see what kind of capacity those interties are going to add. Okay, so to talk a little bit about contamination, there is a lot of contamination in the groundwater in the area in general. It just happens when you have a lot of services that are going on. There are some really big ones, like over at the former Mather Airfield Base, that they're trying to remediate, but then there's a lot of little ones. And those are the ones that are potentially causing issues for the district. So the smaller one can come from leaking underground storage tanks or lust sites. So those are like gas stations or anywhere where fuel might have been stored underground and it started to leak, and so that fuel was leaking out into the ground. Also, former dry cleaner operations. There's a chemical that the dry cleaners would use that it can get into the groundwater and cause quite a bit of trouble. That's the PCE. And then other unknown historical operations, the state goes out and tests these different areas, or well owners see different contaminants showing up and they try and figure out where that came from, but they might not have the records that they need to properly identify it. So the two primary contaminants that are causing some trouble for Del Paso are the PCE, which is the dry cleaner chemical, and then also TPC, which is an industrial like grease remover. So it would be used at machine shops or mechanics, auto shops, that sort of thing. So those are the two that we're seeing in the Del Paso Manor wells.
Question.
There was a question?
Sorry, question. Number one, your TPC, is that what we used to call TCE? It's the degreasers that are used in automotive and mechanic shops.
Oh, I'd have to look it up to make sure, but I think so. Or they're very similar. I know that
CE is trichloroethylene, I think.
Oh, that's a good point, Jim.
Yeah, this looks to be something else.
Yeah. And there's no evidence that contamination from Mather has ever spread this far.
Yeah. So just to clarify, I don't know if I made it really clear, but the issues with the district are localized. So
sure. It's the typical old underground storage tanks and dry cleaning operations.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you could see on the corners here in this map the major intersections like Eastern Marconi, Watt, and Marconi. Those are the sites. The little triangles there are the ones. Yeah, those are what's causing the issue. So it's really local. It's not Mather. Mather's like on the other side of the highway there. So it hasn't come down this way. Yeah, on the other side of the river too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're right. It's when it's left over from when everybody used to have a gas station on the corner.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So they're trying to map it out and pinpoint exactly where it's coming from. Current thought is that it's coming from some former dry cleaners at Eastern and Marconi, but it's hard to tell really because, as you can see, there are a lot in the area that could be causing issues. But what we can do to remediate that is put some sort of filtration on the wellheads, which it is costly, but is potentially more cost effective than just trying to drill a new well in a place that is not currently contaminated. But yeah, adding that filtration system would definitely help. Okay, so now to talk about some of the system needs. A lot of the district's infrastructure is from when it was originally established, so it's over 7 years old now. There is the limited fire flow, which I talked about a little bit. And then there's asbestos cement mains that really should be replaced. The ones that are less than 4 inches, there's about 3,000 linear feet of that. The steel pipe, it can be prone to bursting, and so that should eventually get replaced. The issue is with all this pipeline, it's really expensive and costs have only been going up and up over the past year. So as of May, when we got some of the initial estimate, it was about $3.5 million per mile of pipeline to replace. And that's a lot. It's a hefty chunk of change to try and replace all those pipes. And then also, even though the district is small, they will eventually have to install meters for everybody. And right now they're largely unmetered. And there are some other little system needs that have been going on. The district has been working diligently over the past year or so to try and update some of the more pressing needs that were identified in earlier reports. This is where I put in a little pause for questions. So if there are any more questions, I'm happy to take them at this time.
Crystal, I think most of us thought meters were required a couple of decades ago because most everybody else is metered.
Yeah, so that was the larger water suppliers. I think someone please correct me if I'm wrong, but I think if it's over 5,000 connections, then you have to put in meters. So since they are a very small district, it's not required yet, but it will be.
I understand. Thank you.
Mhm. If anyone else has any questions, any commissioners, please pop up. I cannot see a hand raise function on my screen right now, so please just speak up.
Yeah, at the moment, Madam Chair, no other commissioners have their hand raised, and there isn't a hand raised on the participants either.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead and continue.
All right, will do. Okay, so we'll talk a little bit about their finances. From fiscal year 16-17 to 2021, that's a little bit of a mouthful. There was an overall net increase in their net position. The budgets are generally planning for a surplus of funds. However, this last budget for fiscal year 22-23, it did show them dipping into their reserves for about 1.9 million. And this is largely due to system maintenance being deferred. So they were showing the net increase and a surplus of funds, but nothing was really being done with the system. So that's why the pipelines are getting to the very end of their useful life and need to be repaired. Right now, the costs are a lot more than what the district can support, since they are now trying to catch up with some of that maintenance that was deferred over the past several years. And so they are doing a Proposition 218 process to look at increasing their rates to help fund at least some of the more near-term improvements that are needed. However, for a full system upgrade and to get it running really well, it is likely that they're going to need some outside funding. So either grants or state revolving loans or something like that. So if they didn't do any sort of maintenance, they would be in an okay position. But moving forward, they really need to try and get a little bit more revenue so that they can upgrade the system and get it in good working order. So here we just have a couple of charts so you can see where the expenses are going. So the fiscal year 21-22 budget, their CIP, that's the capital improvement program, it was 29%. And moving into the next year, you can see that increased substantially, so 52%. So they are putting more money into the system to try and fix some of the things that are going on. The next biggest segment, and this is true for any district, is for payroll and employee benefits. It takes a good chunk of change to support your staff, your quality staff that you want to keep on the payroll and running your district well. And then we have their other expenditures there. This is just the expenditures. It doesn't show the revenues. And so then we have a summary of the net position down below. So their overall assets versus their liabilities will give you the net position. And it has increased from the years that we looked at. Once we get some of the newer audits in, it may be a little bit of a different story just because they're spending so much money on the infrastructure. But overall, it will likely continue to grow. And here I have listed the determinations. Everything is included in the report. There's quite a few. So just going over and stating some of the facts and some of the recommendations that came out of the report. So we're looking at the growth in population, which isn't expected to change very much over the next 5 to 10 years. Looking at the disadvantaged unincorporated communities, present plan capacity of public facilities, financing ability of the agency, status of and opportunities for shared facilities. So there might be some more opportunity with Sac Suburban Water District or maybe some of the other nearby districts in the area for some shared services. accountability for community needs, including their governmental structure, and then any other matters that are related to the agency. So again, all those determinations are listed in the report and can be reviewed. All right, and I think that is it for me. So I'll take any more questions. I know that was a lot. Also welcome to any comments on the report itself. I am all ears.
Thank you very much, Ms. Heaney. Are there any comments from my fellow commissioners? Staff, do you have anything to add?
Yes, I do have something to add. You will note that there's no section for the sphere of influence and addressing the district SOI, and that's because things are still fluid in their discussions with the Sacramento Suburban Water District, and so in order to, eliminate any possibility that someone is saying LAFCO is precluding the outcome of those agencies, I've instructed Ms. Heaney and Plan West Partners not to address the SOI at this moment. We're basically observing to see where the districts are headed, whether Del Paso Manor will remain independent or whether they're going to seek some kind of reorganization with Sac Suburban. And again, we don't want to preclude those discussions. We don't want to get ahead of those boards. They're being very methodical in their approach of what a possible reorganization would look like, either by consolidation or by a straight up reorganization. And again, we don't want to step on their toes. This is for both districts to approach and for them to come to a mutually agreeable position. And we don't want to get in the way of those discussions. So we should have a much clearer picture of what it's going to look like post their Proposition 218 election, which is coming up in the first quarter of 2023. And possibly around that time is when we will also have a better picture of where they're going with their discussions with Sacramento Suburban. So at the moment, we're hitting pause on the SOI. We've refreshed the MSR. We've complied with the direction that we were given by the grand jury, but we're going to just kind of hit the pause button for the sphere of influence section of the report.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you very much, Jose. Final request for comments from any of my fellow commissioners.
Yeah, Gay. So just to kind of not read between the lines, but sort of summarize what we're doing here. So this is the review of the administrative draft, and so now it would be released for public review.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, Jose. Right now, for the last month, we have had an open public hearing. And as soon as we're done with our commissioner comments, I will be asking if any of the attendees have anything to say on the public comment part of it. Then I'll officially close the public comment and then request approval of the draft municipal service review report for Del Paso Manor. Does that sound adequate, Jose?
That is correct, Madam Chair. Basically, the public review draft has been out and released since November. It was provided specifically to both Del Paso Manor and Sacramento Suburban staff. Del Paso Manor Board of Directors and Sacramento Suburban staff. And in addition, a copy was sent to the grand jury for their review and comment. And of course, it's been out there for the public to review and comment as well. So right now, we're basically closing the public comment period, and you're ready to adopt the report.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Jose. Now, are there any attendees that wish to comment or have a question?
No, we do not have anyone from the public who wants to comment.
We have.
So,
Sure.
Gay,
Yes, ma'am.
So then if we adopt this final report, then that's really it for LAFCO until they get back, until the districts get back the results of the Prop 218 and decide how they're going to deal with the results of that.
My understanding is yes. And in addition to that, I'm sure that Jose and the rest of his staff will continue to advise and work with Del Paso Manor as well as any other agencies of concern for moving forward. Is that correct, Jose?
That is correct, Madam Chair.
Okay.
Okay,
Does that answer your question, Linda? Is that
it
adequate?
does. Gay. I just, the last time I went through, I was on LAFCO. We went through the thing with the Rio Linda Water District, and I just want to
Okay.
make sure I know what we're doing here.
Yes. This has been a, my observation is this particular issue has been very well, has been professionally addressed, step by steps, with continued optimization of resources has continued throughout this entire process.
Okay,
Does that
Thank you.
assuage any concerns?
so you might want a motion to approve this final report?
In 1 second, what I'd like to do is, if there are no attendees, questions, or comments, then I will officially close the public hearing to consider Del Paso Manor. I better say it correctly. Report for Del Paso Manor Water District LAFCO Project 2022-01. Yes, ma'am. Please
Okay.
continue.
So I will move approval of that final report.
Do I hear a second?
second,
All right, it's been first and seconded. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioners Budge,
Yes,
Liebig,
aye,
Maloli,
Aye.
Murphy,
Aye.
and Jones.
Aye.
Thank you. All in favor. Motion passed.
Okay. Madam Clerk, would you please read our next item, V8, public hearing?
Yes. Item 8, public hearing to consider and approve the North Point annexation to Sac Sewer and Regional Sand.
Madam Chair, I'd like to turn this over to your policy analyst, Desiree Fox, who will be provide you with your staff report.
Thank you, Desiree. Go ahead.
Thank you. Good evening, Madam Chair and LAFCO Commissioners. My name is Desiree Fox, and I'll be presenting the North Point annexation to Sac Sewer. I do have a presentation, so I will be sharing my screen. Confirming you all can see the screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Beautiful. All right. Trying to advance the next slide. Oh, there it goes. All right, so quick overview of the project site. From a high level, the site is located 1,000 feet south of Highway 50. It is in the city of Rancho Cordova and located on the southwest corner of Hazel Avenue and Folsom Boulevard. You might see some conflicting information if you were to look on the public project viewer, as the site was recently the subject of a subdivision map. But the affected territory, in fact, consists of 9 parcels, and that's lot 1 through 9 and a lot A. In addition to the parceled lands, there are public right-of-way and roadway easements that do not have assigned parcel numbers. Altogether, the site is 116.6 acres, and as mentioned, is in the city of Rancho Cordova. The general plan designation is a little untraditional. As opposed to it having a general plan designation, the city has it identified as the Folsom Boulevard planning area and the Westboro planning area. Both of those documents are conceptual, and they rely on the zoning to provide the guidance on policy and the development. The zoning for the site is Aerojet Special Planning Area, and it is also located in the Sunrise Industrial Neighborhood within the city. For the most part, the entire area is serviced by public municipal services. However, it is not serviced right now by sewer and wastewater treatment. The districts with those services that are most close to the area is Sac Sewer and Regional Sand. The LAFCO application that was provided to us was initiated by landowner petition, and it was to annex the affected territory into the Sac Sewer and Regional Sand service districts. And that's for the purpose of a future development of 5 warehouses, which will be known as the North Point Logistics Center. So a little background on the area and the community altogether. The site is located adjacent to Easton Place and Glen Laurel Plan Development. That area received entitlements that were approved by the Board of Supervisors in 2008. And that was to allow for future residential, commercial, and community buildings in addition to open space and public roads. That area was included within the Eastern Plan, and Eastern Place and Glenport Plan area was annexed into Sac Sewer and Regional Sand in 2015. The proposed annexation area is located most closely to Eastern Place, but it is out of the service area as mentioned for both the sewer and the sanitation districts. I want to mention that McKay and SOPS provided the plan for service, or prepared the plan for service, which was submitted to LAFCO, part of the application packet. And that plan for service utilized a sanitary sewer study that was prepared for Eastern Place in 2009. So it covered the cost of construction and any other elements that need to be considered for the proposed annexation area to be annexed into the sewer and sanitation districts. A few key points. The site is within the sphere of influence for both districts, and staff's analysis determined that the project represents a logic and orderly path of development, as the site is adjacent to the service districts for both the Sac Sewer and Regional Sand. The annexation will not result in negative impacts to the cost and adequacy of service otherwise provided in the area. And seeing as that the area is in an industrial neighborhood in the city of Rancho Cordova, the annexation will not have an adverse effect on agricultural and open space lands. As such, staff's recommendation to the commissioners tonight is to recognize the city of Rancho Cordova as the lead agency for the project, which has prepared a mitigated negative declaration and CEQA determinations, which have been found to be adequate for the purposes of the annexation, and direct staff to file a notice of determination in compliance with CEQA and local ordinances implementing the same. Additionally, we request that the commissioners allow LAFCO to adopt the resolution and add any additional conditions to the commission that the commission finds appropriate, and approve the North Point annexation into Sac Sewer Regional Sand. We're recommending to waive the conducting authority proceedings subject to the applicable government code, direct the executive officer to complete the necessary filings and the transmittal as required by law, and determine the effective date of the approval of this agreement to be 5 working days after recordation by the county recorder of the executive officer's certificate of completion once the imposed conditions are satisfied. And that concludes my overview of the project. On the screen is the annexation boundary exhibit, and we do have our applicant representative here to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Fox. Appreciate that presentation. Are there any questions or comments from my fellow commissioners? That door is always open here. Now, are there any comments that a representative would like to make?
Good evening, Madam Chair and Commissioners. This is Jason Reed with Wood Rogers. I'm the civil engineer and project manager who has been hired by North Point Development on this project. We're excited to be working on this, and I know the city is excited for this project to move forward as well, but I'm just available for any questions that you may have. I believe Andrew Burr with North Point Development, he was on a bit ago. I don't see him on the attendees now, but definitely available here if you have any questions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Reed. Again, any commissioner or staff comments or questions for Mr. Reed? Hearing none, are there any questions or comments from any of our attendees, Madam Clerk?
No, there's no public comment.
All right, well, thank you very much. Now, we do have 5 staff recommendations. Council, will it be appropriate to ask for one resolution for all 5?
Yes, the resolution includes all the necessary approvals.
Okay, thank you very much. I will entertain a motion to follow staff's recommendations.
Hearing that, I'm happy to move that we find the environmental determination adequate and appropriate, and that we adopt the 5 LAFCO staff recommendations for the North Point Logistics Center.
I second.
All right, it's been first and seconded. Thank you. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Wonderful. Commissioner Budge,
Yes.
Liebig,
Aye.
Maloli,
Aye.
Murphy,
Aye.
and Chair Jones.
Aye.
Wonderful. Thank you. All in favor?
All right, thank you very much. Motion passes. Now
Thank
we're
you.
on to our business items. Item number 9 is to receive information on AB 2449 and discuss its implication on future meetings.
Madam
Jose, I
Chair?
think I'll let you take that one.
Yeah, and actually, Madam Chair, your council has prepared a presentation for you.
Oh, well, thank you, Ms. Gillick. Please proceed.
Very well. So would you like me to share screen or will you load? Okay, give me a second. Let me get that set. Can you see Sloan Sakai teleconference, everyone?
Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am.
All right, very good. So as we know, it's been almost 3 years since we've been remote in the COVID requirements. So it's appropriate to do a review of where we've come and our current rules and what we're going to be needing to do in the new year, as well as at our March meeting. So the purpose is to provide the commissioners background information on these procedures and processes. It is also to answer questions. I can go fast, I can go slow. You can please interrupt me and ask questions so we can hold them to the end. The current slide indicates kind of where we've been and where we're going. As you all know, in March 2020, we started having remote teleconference meetings and the requirements of the Brown Act were relaxed. With AB 361 in September, October, some of those executive order requirements were codified and became statute. And we've been having hybrid meetings consistent with those requirements since the fall of 2021. The governor recently announced that the COVID emergency proclamation is going to end on February 28th of next year. So we're going to have some changes and into our meeting requirements and the rules. And then in addition, the legislature passed AB 2449. That's one of the purposes of tonight's presentation, for the board members and staff to become familiar with these modified, once again, limited opportunities to participate remotely. So with that, would like to review it's not, there we go. It didn't go forward. Hold on. There we go. I'd like to review the traditional Brown Act rules because they're relevant to future meetings potentially. The Brown Act always had requirements for teleconference participation, but when you participated under the traditional Brown Act rules, the agenda must identify those remote locations. The remote locations needed to be open to the public with the agenda posted at those locations. And physically in the normal meeting room, and we use the Board of Supervisors chambers, there had to be a quorum of the board present in the chambers and present in the jurisdiction of LAFCO, which is Sacramento County, physically there. So just a reminder of those traditional Brown Act rules, which still apply, still can be followed. I have clients in El Dorado County, and we've learned with COVID that they're going to post a location in South Lake Tahoe all the time under the traditional Brown Act meetings to allow those board members that live in Tahoe to participate remotely without having to drive over the summit to Placerville. We've all learned that we can do this and that's something that's come out of it, that they're going to follow the traditional Brown Act rules, post that South Lake Tahoe location and participate that way. AB 361 relaxed some of those requirements. You need two things: a proclaimed state of emergency and state or local recommendations that recommend physical distancing. We have that. But however, the governor's proclaimed state of emergency expires on February 28th. And that is the reason why we need to think about alternative procedures. AB 361 is requiring us as a board to make findings every 30 days. We do that at each board meeting to allow us to continue to have the remote meetings by Zoom only. The findings require us to revisit the circumstances. And as we all know, we unexpectedly have been exposed to COVID over recently, and that's a reason to allow us to continue to have remote participation. As I've said, the emergency proclamation is ending on February 28th. The commission can continue to make those findings through February. This commission doesn't have a January meeting, so the February meeting can continue to be Zoom, can be a hybrid meeting, but that meeting on March 1st will be in person. And then we need to go back to the Brown Act meetings and return to the County Board of Supervisors chambers and be in person. So with AB 2449, effective January 1st, there's some real limited opportunity remote participation that will remain. So the remainder of the presentation is to kind of go over some of those rules to get the staff and board members familiar with what you might do come March in the event you are sick or you become exposed or you have other reasons. So AB 2449 has two requirements that allows for remote participation. One is characterized as just cause. The other is emergency circumstances. The just cause reasons are set by statute. I have up on the screen those statutory reasons to allow board members to participate. And as a just cause, you need a childcare, caregiving, contagious illness prevents you. You need to take care of a physical or mental disability, as well as traveling while on an official business of LAFCO or another state or local agency. So that allows for remote participation. There's some procedures with the just cause participation. The board members must notify the commission as soon as possible, and that may be the beginning of a meeting that you're participating remotely. You must provide a description of why you're participating remotely. You're taking care of a family member. I'm participating in a meeting in Washington, D.C., those things. There's no need for the commission to vote to approve your remote participation. We will see with the emergency reasons, there requires a board vote. And this just cause participation is limited to twice a calendar year. So this is a summary of how board members might participate in the future as remotely for just cause. The second statutory procedure is emergency circumstances. In this situation, emergency circumstance occurs if a physical or family emergency prevents a member from attending a meeting. You're not required to disclose the medical information, the personal information, but again, you must give a general description as to why you would like to participate under the emergency circumstance classification. Your disclosure must be as soon as possible. It may be at the beginning of the meeting, but in this circumstance, the commission must vote to allow for your remote participation as an emergency circumstance. And the statute says, even though it's not on the agenda, it's one of the times when the board can take action on an item not on the agenda and approve the emergency circumstance remote participation. When you participate under this just cause or emergency circumstance remote participation, there's a few things the agency and you must do. You must publicly disclose, board members, who's in the room with you that's over 18 years of age. I've had board members say, what if I have a family member down the hall? And, the goal here is transparency. So, if they never interact with you, it's probably fine not to disclose that. However, you need to use your judgment to disclose the, adults that are in the same room as you. The new rules require board members to be participating both by audio and video. So for board members to participate remotely, we need a Zoom-like capability, and you must keep your camera on. Again, board members ask, what if I want to go down the hall? Or what if someone walks through the room? Again, use your judgment. The goal is transparency. There's also the circumstances that you don't have good internet connection. So you need to shut the camera off so that you can participate and speak. Again, use your judgment. The statute does say requires visual and audio participation by board members. For the just cause reasons, you can only participate twice in a calendar year under just cause. And then collectively, for just cause and emergency circumstances, it cannot be for more than 3 consecutive months. It cannot be more than 20% of regular meetings, or if meetings are more than 10 times a year, it can only be, or less than 10 times a year, it can only be twice in a calendar year. So there's a little bit of math. So for the LAFCO board, it's twice. For essentially, I think we meet 11 times traditionally in a year, maybe only 10. So you can only do these remote participations twice. For your special districts, your city councils, your board of soups, you may be able to do 20%. You may get up to 4 if you meet twice a year or twice a month or that. So a little bit of a calculation. There's some administrative burdens for us staff, for the board members. Again, I indicated there must be Zoom capability so the board members can have a video participation. It requires, if we're going to allow for board members to participate remotely, the public must be able to listen in electronically. So the public we must have on the agenda the location that they can call in and listen to the meeting or view it over Zoom. At least a quorum of the commission must be physically present in the posted agenda location. So as I indicated in March, we need to plan on being in the Board of Supervisors chambers in person. There must be a quorum of the commission present in person. If a technical disruption occurs and the board members participating remotely, the business meeting must pause until the technical issues are resolved. And we must kind of keep track of that 2 times a year or that remote participation. So again, those are the rules to allow for remote participation if the circumstances occur for just cause or emergency participations. Today, the board, would like some feedback. Again, the purpose was to get board members familiar with these rules, to start to think about them and know how to use them when it's necessary, but also give some direction. Staff's assuming that the February meeting can be by Zoom or perhaps even a hybrid participation if we can get into the board chambers and technically make that happen. However, in March, the board needs to be in person. And if you want to allow for remote participation, plan for that by having Zoom, by having it posted on the agenda for the public to be able to participate electronically. So with that, I open it up for questions. I will answer questions and we can get some direction. And I'm going to try to get so I can see everybody, so I can see raised hands. So go ahead, Chair, and I'm happy to answer questions.
Okay, thank you very much, Ms. Gillick. I don't see the raised hand function yet. I still have the question slide up. So any of my fellow commissioners?
Eliminate that. Let me try to eliminate that. I'm sorry, it's me.
Oh, no worries.
And the other thing I wanted to add to Ms. Gillick's presentation, and we discussed this before the meeting today, is that if you make any determinations you make in a meeting, whether to meet remotely or not, does not come into play at subsequent meetings. So if you choose to meet remotely for one day, for one meeting, let's say, just for the sake of example, in March, and make it available to the public online, you don't have to do that in April. If all the commissioners are going to be present, you don't have to be broadcasting in April. So it's done on a case-by-case basis based upon what the needs are for that specific meeting, and it does not marry you into what you do for subsequent meetings.
The difficult part is planning. A board member may not know that I woke up this morning not feeling well. And so having the option available just allows for the planning and allows for that public participation, because if a board member Zooms in, the public needs to be able to listen remotely as well. Absolutely, it's a permissive thing. You don't have to allow board members the option to participate remotely. If you do, there's certain rules you must follow.
And staff will have to change some of our procedures as well to anticipate whether or not a commissioner is going to be coming, would like to participate remotely. Obviously, we would be doing possibly a pulse check with commissioners a week in advance of the hearing. We tend to publish the agenda the Monday or Tuesday of the week before the commission meeting. So before we publish, we'll likely be checking with each and one of you to determine whether or not you are going to meet remotely for that week so we can notice it accordingly on the agenda. And then we will probably also follow up the week of the commission meeting to determine whether any circumstances have changed on the part of the commission. So we'll have to do some tweaking to our processes internally, but we believe we can accommodate the 2449 requirements and whatever may happen to the commission. Obviously, if you have an emergency situation and that's not anticipated until the day of, we will certainly work with the commission to make sure that we comply with all of the requirements.
I think the takeaway is, in March, we need to be back in the chambers, at least a quorum, but, everyone.
But I just want to clarify something. So, Deanna, I can't tell you how much I really appreciate this heads up. This is really valuable. But I just have a question about the just cause aspect of AB 2449. Of the 4 reasons that you gave for just cause, caregiving or the disability could potentially be long-term. And so then later on you said that that was only available for 2 meetings per year. Did I hear that right?
You did. So, the
order long-term
of the legislature.
Okay.
And that's the statute. It's in my staff report as well as the PowerPoint that indicates the rules. And then I also in the staff report provides the code section citation so that you can see what that language is and track it. So you can only do it twice a calendar.
And I will review that. I appreciate that. Caregiving is just not something that goes away.
Yeah.
And we've all gotten used to different norms. And unfortunately, I don't think the statute was maybe broad enough. Maybe, we'll get there eventually, but not initially in March.
Okay. Thank you.
And actually, Commissioner Budge reminded me of something else. If you look at your calendar that your commission clerk prepared for you for item number 5, we will only meet, at least scheduled meetings that we have are 10 meetings next year. So because we'll be dark in January and we'll be dark in July. And we might possibly be dark in other dates as well, depending upon potential conflicts at the board chambers. But be that as it may, that basically limits you to 2 meetings for the next calendar year in which you can use the just cause.
Sure, I get it. Thank you.
And so I can answer questions offline separately. The staff report is more comprehensive, but appreciate all of us starting to think about these new rules and becoming familiar with them.
Sure.
Do any of my fellow commissioners have additional questions or comments? Any questions or comments? Tim, were you saying something?
Thank you to Deanne.
Yeah.
Really.
Do we have any public comments, Madam Clerk?
No, we do not.
Okay. I have a quick clarification, and if it gets too complicated, I can do it offline. 2 things. Now, if it's just cause, it doesn't need a vote, but if it's an emergency, it needs a vote.
Correct.
Okay, very good.
Whatever the wisdom is with that, that's the way.
Well, I'm not going to analyze state government at this level. So anyway, now, if you're out of IT range, just forget about it because you have to have both no matter what. Yeah. Audio and visual. Okay.
For the new remote just cause or emergency, you have to have video as well for the board members, not the public.
And if this gets too involved, that's okay. I'll do it offline. But you mentioned that example of, was it El Dorado, that had a standing location on one side of the pass vis-a-vis the regular board meeting venue.
So
would that old Brown Act perhaps supersede, or can we rely on that the traditional Brown Act to perhaps supersede some of these limitations that perhaps lacked foresight in the initial beginning of this?
That is correct. And that's one of the reasons I went over those traditional Brown Act rules that have been relaxed, to remind us we can always go back to posting 2 locations for a traditional meeting connected by telephone, which is the way we used to do it, or connected by Zoom. So there's physically 2 meeting locations that are posted, agenda, the public is welcome, connected electronically. And I gave my example of my El Dorado County clients that are, you know, there's going to be a South Lake Tahoe location and a Placerville location. They're going to be connected by Zoom, and that's how they're going to allow for board members to participate from Tahoe.
Just as something to think about, and we can develop this more offline about what would be appropriate for Sacramento County LAFCO.
Yeah, I mean, there can be, I know some of my other clients are considering city halls. So the public location is at the district board or the city hall. So it'd be the county board of supervisors chambers, as well as a city hall in one of the more distant cities, to allow for us not to drive all down to the board.
We can have further refinement on this as our bottom line tonight, right?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much. It just says receive information. I don't see this as an action item on my agenda. So any other comments from commissioners or attendees? If not, we will move to item number 10. Going once, twice. Go ahead.
I will be handling this one. And first, I'd like to apologize to you, the commission, and to the public. It looks like our staff memo number 10 was cut off on the last page. So I apologize for that technical glitch. Nothing important was in there. It was basically just a brief description of what attachment B was, which is the contract with South Fork Consulting. But I wanted to bring this item to you as part of the regular report. As I indicated in the staff report, we are currently being hit very hard with a lot of projects and potential projects. Most of the time at the moment, it's potential projects, which even though we don't have anything here that I can bill against, it still takes up a lot of staff time to complete. We do have 3 active projects. One of them you dispensed with today, which was the Del Paso Manor MSR report. Actually 2, and you also dispensed with the North Point. But we still have the processing of the Lakes Antelope annexation to Sacramento Suburban. And in addition, we know that we have 2 that are very much imminent in the horizon, and that's the 711 Watt Elder Creek annexation, which we believe that the city of Sacramento will be taking action on in February, definitely first quarter of 2023. And also Sac Sewer and Regional Sand reorganization into one district, which those boards have already taken action on. It's staff that's just getting the paperwork together to submit to LAFCO. So we know those are coming, and we know that there are others that are down the pike. And as a result, we currently can't handle it all. Your policy analyst, as you saw from earlier this morning, this meeting, is certainly competent, and she's certainly gifted with a lot with knowledge and expertise. However, she's still training in the LAFCO nuances, and so as a result, I'm trying to craft a more permanent long-term solution. But in the meantime, my request is that you enter into a contract with South Fork Consulting to provide part-time support to the commission in terms of analysis and MSR writing. At the very least, we know that we have the request of the Cordova Recreation and Park District. They would like to have their MSR refreshed. They've submitted all the materials that we need. We just need to have someone who basically is dedicated to be able to start writing it. So at the very least, Amanda Ross would be, who is the principal at South Fork Consulting. That's what she'll be working on. And in addition, also providing us with some support for other work that's coming in. We know the Sacramento Suburban would like to have their MSR refreshed. And we know that it's potentially Carmichael Water District is also going to need an MSR refresh fairly soon as well. So the contract is specific, and it's delineated to end at the end of the current fiscal year in order to comply with AB5 restrictions. I know that Ms. Ross is not interested in pursuing the contract beyond July 1st. So we know that this isn't an ongoing contract. This is to basically kind of be a pressure valve release in order to be able to concentrate on other matters. So I request your approval of the contract. That does conclude my oral report, but I'm happy to provide any answers to any questions you may have about this proposal.
Mm-hmm. Are there any questions from my fellow commissioners? Actually, Jose, it looked like most of it got on for the online information.
Yeah, it just got
total
cut
cost
off at the
about
last
24,000. Sorry.
I'm sorry. It just got cut off. It just got cut off at the last on the staff report. It just got off at the last sentence.
Oh, okay.
But the contract attachments A and B are complete.
Okay. If there are no questions or comments from fellow commissioners and no public or attendee hands raised, I will entertain a motion for approval of contract with Amanda Ross from South Fork Consulting for part-time staffing services to LAFCO.
Madam Chair, I so move.
Second.
It's been first and seconded. Please call the roll, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Budge,
Yes.
Liebig,
Aye.
Maloli,
Aye.
Murphy,
Aye.
and Chair Jones.
Aye.
Wonderful. Thank you. All in favor.
Okay. Thank you all very much. Okay, we're on to questions and announcements. Does staff have any particular question or announcements or info to share?
None from your executive officer, except for happy holidays.
And the same from me. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Good deal. Are there any commissioner comments? All right. I would like to take I'm sorry, was there one?
Merry Christmas to everybody. Have a happy holiday.
All of that to everybody. And I'd like to give a shout out to Mr. Enriquez and Ms. Fox for their reports tonight. We appreciate, and Ms. Gillick for super informative reports, as well as Ms. Haney and Mr. Reed being available to follow up for all this information that we're just absorbing. Yes. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, celebrate the solstice, all the parties you can get in, please do so. With that, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you all very much.
Good night, everyone.